Welcome back to Dr. Coaches. My name is Dr. Juan Suazo and I am an internal medicine trainee in the United Kingdom. Today we'll be talking about breaking bad news in day 7. Breaking bad news is a very important station in PLAB 2 and in the daily life of a doctor. So bad news are any kind of news that might have a negative effect on someone or on someone's family. In PLAB 2, you'll find yourself having a chat with a patient who unfortunately has a diagnosis of something sinister, or you're speaking to the family of a patient who has had a test result that shows something sinister or who's had an accident. So how do we approach that? First thing is knowing what's happened and understanding what the patient knows or the family of the patient knows. So it's crucial to ask the right questions. Do you know why you get tested? What symptoms were you experiencing before you had these tests? Moving on to a family scenario, what's the last thing you know about your family member in case it's an accident, or if it's a diagnosis of something sinister? What's the last thing you know about his health? Questions along those lines will give you information back so that you know how to deliver the bad news properly. Because remember, we're trying to do it in a systematic manner by delivering chunks of information, but also in a very empathetic manner. Once you've learned the context about what's happening, you can invite them so that you can share the results. And if you feel that they're very anxious, very worried, you can offer them support from their family members. Offer something like delivering the news in the presence of someone they know, like a family member. So before delivering the bad news, you need to make sure that everyone is on the same page. In order to do so, you need to go through everything again, making a brief summary of what's happened, just so that there is no miscommunication and that everyone's on the same page when you deliver the news. Whilst you're going through this summary, you need to do it by giving chunks of information and then checking for understanding along the way. Once you've done that, you can deliver the warning shots. Usually 1 or 2 warning shots is more than enough. I would not recommend doing more, as that would only create more anxiety. Warning shots can be phrases like, "I'm afraid I don't have good news. I've seen the results and unfortunately they're not what we were expecting." So once you've done the warning shots, you can deliver the bad news, and then you pause and you give them time to process what you've said. After delivering the news and giving them some time to process the information, they will have questions and concerns, and it's your job to address them. Once you've answered all their questions and you've addressed all their concerns, it's your job as well to develop a plan with the patient or with the patient's family about what's next. A good way of remembering all the elements that you need to keep in mind to deliver bad news is thinking about the mnemonic SPIKES, S-P-I-K-E-S. S stands for setting, which is learning about our patient, where he is, what he knows, or if we're speaking to someone's family, learning about where they are, because they could be driving a car or doing something that would be unsafe for them if we were to deliver bad news right there. Perception is going through the sequence of events to make sure that we have context about what's happening, about why, let's say, the tests were done, and that we are able to connect with the patient in a way that everyone's in the same page, so that when we deliver the news, we deliver effectively and that there is no miscommunication. I stands for invitation, which is when we invite the patient or the patient's family to learn about the news. Knowledge is where we start delivering chunks of information and we check for understanding, leading to warning shots and then breaking the bad news. E stands for emotions, where we try to read the patient's emotions or the family's emotions and react to them in a positive way so that we can give them support. Finally, S stands for strategy, in which we plan ahead with both the patient and or their families. Breaking bad news is a very challenging scenario, and it's a very challenging situation on daily medical practice. It is therefore very important to have interpersonal skills that are up to the challenge. Now, the tone needs to be a serious one, because this will be something that will probably change someone's life. So you need to adapt your tone, your non-verbal language, and your verbal language as well. Active listening and engaging with the patient's concerns and questions to deliver the news effectively, and in PLAB to get the points you need in IPS. Another very important thing is not being afraid of silence. Everyone, when they hear bad news, processes them in a different manner. But what I can say is that everyone needs time to process it. So don't be afraid of silence. That's the end of today's session. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let us know or drop us an email and we'll be more than happy to answer them.